Book Summary: Untangled by Dr. Lisa Damour. Key insights. No doubt about it, teenagers are chock full of intense, rapid cycling emotions. One positive consequence of this tendency towards strong feelings is that adolescents are also more likely to be highly in tune with and responsive to the emotions of their peers. So, as we dive into the immensely complex brain activity of teenagers, we must saddle up to read about the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. With Dr. Lisa Damour as our guide, we can enter into this unknown territory prepared, with the needs of emotional, highly impulsive teenagers in mind, specifically women. Untangled assures us that there are indeed biological and psychological reasons for why young women behave the way they do, and the text allows us a unique opportunity to harness the power of positive feelings. Privacy. If you start to notice that your teenage, or soon-to-be teenage, daughter seems to be spending more time in her room, avoiding social interaction with the family, and generally retreating inward, you are not alone. While this sudden shift in behavior can be scary for parents, it is actually part of a very normal process that your daughter is undergoing. Without even being consciously aware of it, she's preparing for the independence of adulthood by practicing disconnection from her family. If you start to notice your teenager withdraw in this way, be direct. Tell her that you are upset to see her self-isolating and that you want her to be more mindful about the actions that she takes. A good way to ensure that the teenager is not completely cutting herself off from the family is by setting up routines. For instance, planning family dinners every night or a weekly movie that you all watch together offers a reminder that participation in events with parents and siblings is more than just optional, it's an expectation. The tribe. So if your teenage girl is withdrawing from you and the rest of the family, you might wonder, why is she not also disconnecting from her friends? The reality is, at this point in life, your adolescent needs her friends now more than ever. Having a social network helps a young adult gain independence, learn key social skills, and begin to understand how to address conflict in a healthy and productive way. Sometimes the pendulum swings too far on this one, and the teenager becomes obsessed with popularity and maintaining a particular image. If this happens, it is in the best interest of the parent to intervene and encourage the teenager to be strong, but also friendly. Explain to your teen that it is possible to be popular and not well-liked, so the goal should be to be well-liked because you are friendly, not because you put other people down. How others perceive you, as popular or a loner for instance, is not within your control. Therefore, it is not worth investing the energy into worrying about it. Frenemies. While teenage girls are quick to depend on friendships to get them through this time of life, they are also quick to write off peers with whom they used to be close. When a friendship turns sour, the two parties rapidly devolve from amicable companions to the dreaded frenemies. So, how do you spot a frenemy in your daughter's life? If your daughter starts to complain regularly about a person who she has or had considered one of her close friends, this can be a sign that the relationship between the two individuals has moved down a negative path. It is normal for even the strongest friendships to be tested by the occasional argument. But if your teen is regularly having intense shouting matches, or texting ones, with her friend, it might be time to intervene. Teens have a tendency to deal with anger in one of two ways. They become a pushover and refuse to stand up for themselves, even if they know they are not in the wrong. They become extremely angry and act out inappropriately. In order to encourage teenagers to respond appropriately when conflict arises among friends or frenemies, you could address the issue by saying something like this. Leah, I know you're upset that your friend Lisa didn't invite you to the party. While you are coming off as angry, you should tell Lisa that what you actually are is hurt, and then explain why. While the situation might not be completely resolvable now, since the party has already happened, Lisa could at least have an idea of why you do not want her to behave this way when similar situations emerge in the future. In this dialogue, the parent is encouraging Leah to use her feelings to inform the way she reacts, rather than to dictate the outcome of the situation. If Leah only talked to Lisa about the anger she was feeling, Lisa would not grasp the full extent of why Leah was upset. Testing authority. When parents hear the words testing authority used in relation to their children, they often think the worst. What has my son or daughter done this time? an all too common refrain. However, your teenager's decision to dye her hair purple in spite of her retail job's strict dress code is not an entirely baseless decision. In some ways, it's actually a positive sign. When teenagers begin testing authority, this shows that they are thinking abstractly and beyond the rules that have dictated their lives up to this point. Prior to this stage of adolescent development, children can only picture experiences that they personally have had. For instance, if you told your average 9-year-old to imagine you were standing at the Great Wall of China, they would likely have no ability to visualize what it was that you were asking. It is at this point in the transition from childhood to adulthood that many parents find themselves facing difficult questions from their kids. A few common ones include, if smoking is so bad, why do you do it? You say that lying is wrong. Why is it okay in this particular case? Is having sex good or bad? The cool part about examining these and other challenging questions with your maturing children is that it will also allow you to re-examine your feelings on important topics from a new perspective. We all benefit from seeing the world through multiple lenses sometimes, even through the often scary viewpoint of an emerging teenager. Planning for the future. As teenagers, many of us have done things that we would later come to regret. While feeling this way is a normal and natural part of growing up, we would be remiss if we did not impress upon our teenagers that actions have consequences, and sometimes these negative outcomes can follow you throughout your life. For instance, if you start letting your grades slide now and get into the habit of slacking off at school, it will be much harder to develop healthy studying routines later on when it really matters. By the same token, if you do not treat people with kindness and respect, it could be challenging, if not impossible, to get back into their good graces later on. We all make mistakes, but what is important is that we learn from them and do not keep making the same bad choices again and again. As parents, we are responsible for helping our children learn from the choices they make, even if this means allowing them to face the sometimes uncomfortable consequences of their actions. Forgive me once, shame on me. Forgive me twice, shame on you. Relationships. Arguably, the only thing more challenging than raising a teenage daughter to be a good person is teaching a teenage daughter how to date. While it is not always the case, the majority of young women will begin to express an interest in the opposite, or the same sex, during their teen years as a result of the convergence of eager hormones. While you might like to be your blossoming young adult's only authority on relationships and sex, you will find that other influences, such as peers, television, and the internet, might find their way to your daughter first. Be sure that you're conveying to your daughter that the images on TV and on social media are often disparate from the true reality of a situation. Teach your daughter to do what feels right to her rather than relying on what she thinks others want her to do. Intuition is a powerful force, and in order to fully harness it, you have to be able to block out the noise. As you observe the many emotional needs of the teenage girls in your life, be sure that you focus on physical health as well. We are not talking about spending hours in the gym every morning to maintain an impossible fitness standard. We are simply referring to the two fundamental aspects of healthy living, a good diet and sleep. If your daughter is struggling in either of these areas, it could be a sign that there's a deeper issue. After all, teenagers are at the highest risk of eating disorders and many other mental health conditions. The main takeaway. Young women, like anyone else, are sure to grow and evolve at their own individual pace. While we cannot speed up or slow down this process as we would like to, we, as parents, guardians, and teachers, play an instrumental role in shaping the lives of these soon-to-be adults. By encouraging adolescent girls to develop their independence, take care of themselves both physically and mentally, and navigate social decisions with a sound and logical frame of mind, we give our teenagers the best possible chance of success as they transition into womanhood. Ideally, even into adulthood, the young women in our lives continue to look to us, their mentors, for guidance and advice as they move through their personal journey.
Hi, I'm Rhonda, and this is an exclusive audiobook video recorded for the Audiobook Master Channel. Enjoy your audiobook and have fun learning. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button so you'll get updated on our next upload. If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up and say your thoughts about the book we just covered. Do you want to listen to a summary or review of a book that we haven't covered in the past? Say it in the comments below or send us a message. Don't forget to check our other uploads. Enjoy listening!